All right, folks, I believe we are live, and this is Chinese Wrestling Sit Down, where we sit down with wrestlers and personalities from within and out of China that has been part of the Chinese pro wrestling scene. We get a more in-depth look into who they are and their unique stories that made them the prime candidates as our focus features here on Chinese Wrestling Sit Down. And I am back once again. I am Leung. We are live here on MKW's Facebook and YouTube. When I was talking about people who are within the part of the Chinese pro wrestling scene, my guest today or tonight, wherever you may be, actually not really that, at least not yet. As you guys saw last week in our breaking news, if you've been paying attention to MKW's social media, my guest tonight is a Game Changer Wrestling GCW commentator. He's in video games, podcasting, music. I'm sure I'm missing something, but he's going to tell us all about it. He is the brand new English commentator for MKW Wrestling. Much better than the previous one. He's really good, okay? He is Kevin Gill. How are you doing, man?
Good. It's an honor to be here, man. And I want to right off the bat salute you for using your free time and putting your heart and soul into spotlighting a wrestling scene like the Chinese wrestling scene and letting the world know who the players are and bringing that out to the world. The fact that you're doing that is invaluable and should be commended, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm going to spotlight you today.
Sure. Okay.
Spotlight you. So let's get right to it. And yeah, if you guys are watching live on Facebook or YouTube, make sure you can send in some questions for Mr. Kevin Gill. You want to ask him about MKW, you want to ask him about Chinese wrestling, you want to ask him about GCW, Joey Janela, I don't know, whatever it may be. Make sure you leave a comment, or if you're on the YouTube, I believe it's in the chat. So let's get right to it. So how do you feel about being on board and being the new voice of MKW, even with your own branded show, Kevin Gill Presents MKW Blast Off?
To me, brother, it's such an honor. You know what I mean? The art form of professional wrestling to me is just that, an art form. And just like music or film or photography, it transcends all national borders. It transcends all cultures. It transcends everything. That's the beauty of this art form. And the idea that there's such a large population that is largely unexposed to this amazing art form. So that's within China, of course, you know what I mean? And then you take that spotlight out and put it to the world. I'm just humbled beyond words to be a part of it. Like, there's very rarely anything new under the sun in professional wrestling. And all of a sudden, here's a new territory, if you will. Here's a new region. Here's a new, you know what I'm saying? It's a fucking, like, continent, you know what I mean? Continental type shit. So, I'm just really honored beyond words to be a part of it. And I'm just excited that the world can finally see what people like you have been championing for some time.
Yeah, it's amazing how, China is like probably, I mean, I'm pretty sure anyways, it's the most amount of people in one country. And then, when it comes to professional wrestling, a thing that we, the rest of the world, a majority of us know very well, right? Especially if you're in North America. Mexico or Japan and things like that. So, it would be a huge part to bring back the English commentary. So my next question is your background. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, a huge array of things, music, wrestling, video games, podcasting. What would you say is your industry background, quote unquote, so to speak?
I guess diverse.
Diverse.
I have a many years background in like brand management, like doing brand management for properties in the video game space, which is kind of like overseeing creative direction and kind of ensuing, making sure standards are met worldwide. Like everything stays true to the core vision of various projects and stuff like that. So that was something that I was focusing on in the video game side of things.
So what's great is that you've been able to combine a lot of these industries, juggalos, punk rock, wrestling, all counterculture, it seems like, but also different from each other, right? So would you say that fans of these cultures all mix well across these different industries and genres?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because on paper, you can look at people from an underground music scene. You can look at people from underground wrestling. You can look at people from just underground and alternative lifestyles, people that are into cutting edge and bleeding edge content, and kind of people that are the tastemakers, the people that make the market. You know what I mean? But sorry, tell me your question again, because I'm getting lost in my own my own linguistics.
Yeah, sorry, I was just messaging my PA here because I think he's supposed to be on, but he's not. What's going on here? Yeah, my question was basically with all these
Oh
genres
yeah,
that
yeah.
you're part of,
How do they
are
come
they
together?
yeah, are they similar? Are they different? Do you feel?
Well, I feel what brings them all together is that everyone in it likes kind of different things from everyone else. They'd rather discover something and then watch the rest of the world discover it later than watch whatever the most mainstream, most mass consumed product is. You know what I mean? So I think when you have people with this discerning taste out there, whether it be for music, for wrestling, or whatever, in most of them know it, but some of them don't. But they're more unified than they could ever imagine, at least on paper, because their beliefs, their support of DIY type endeavors, it's all very closely related. And there's the unifying the unified feeling of family. And you can go to a mainstream corporate wrestling show and you could have a great time with your family and friends, and it'll be great. But when you go to a Game Changer wrestling show, when you go to a Middle Kingdom wrestling show, when fans are allowed again, and all these things, you feel a sense of camaraderie. You feel a sense of belonging, and it transcends the event. It transcends buying a ticket. Like, you are part of something. You know what I mean? So I think that's the common ground in all those worlds and how they all come together.
Yeah, I feel like almost like wrestling has become like a. Well, I don't know if there's anyone else other than North America that knows this term, like a hipsterish, right?
Sure.
It's like it's very hipsterish now, where people are like, oh yeah, AEW, MKW, GCW, it's so cool. But then once it gets too big, it's like it's not that cool anymore. But that's what we're aiming for, right?
1,000,000%. Yeah, it's like you can be the trailblazer, and then you go from being the trailblazer to somehow being like, oh, they're too big time, like GCW's like AEW, or you know what I mean? People lose sight of the fact that these are independent DIY promotions that are run out of love of the game and passion, and their success that's built along the way. And I think it's well earned. But yeah, I think it's just so vital to support, and when people, just like with Game Changer has a very steady stream of content that comes out. And now with this new show, with Middle Kingdom Wrestling, we're going to have a steady stream of content coming out starting in November. So to me, it's a magical time for wrestling. And I'm just so excited to dive in and see all these new talents and just see what they're up to and where they're going, and what their journey is like wrestling in China.
Yeah, for sure. And you've done commentary with so many wrestling companies, and with so many different play-by-play people, personalities, wrestlers, even. Who would you say is the most influential person you've had as a broadcast partner, and why? Please say it's Lenny Leonard.
Well, yeah, I would have to just make a short list, really, because like working with Mick Foley was like an incredible experience, as not just as a fan of Mick's and an admirer of his work, but he had done a lot of commentary in WWE, besides being one of the most articulate and well-spoken wrestlers in the game. So doing a whole pay-per-view with Mick Foley really stands out. I got to call shows and matches with Matt Stryker, MVP, Shaggy Two Dope for sure, from ICP, as well as Violent J, and Lars Fredrickson from Rancid. Like I called several shows with him, and it was my work with him that kind of got me first noticed in wrestling and got me other gigs and everything. So without that event, and shout out to DJ Riz, rest in peace. But so yeah, I think those are some, and why. Just each one of them offers something very unique and their own experience, their own vision. And of course, I left out Dave Prazak and Lenny Leonard, who were just two of the best wrestling commentators to ever walk the earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
sure.
you learn a lot just from the interplay, you know what I mean? Just from sitting there and doing it with them, and what they do and what you don't do. And at the same time, they're seeing what you do and you don't do. And everyone's kind of learning and evolving because everyone's on the same page of like, how do we make this great? Like, how do we put a little sauce on it? But or a better way to say it is, it's already great. How do we put a little something extra on it? And to be fair to the wrestlers, I was on the Sledge's Twitch show, Coffee with Sledge, earlier today, and I described it as the wrestlers bake and create this entire cake. It's all boxed up, and then the commentary is the string that goes around the box just to like for that little extra flourish. You know what I mean? Because I take nothing away from the competitors in the ring, because it's their ability, their talent, their drive, and their ability to withstand pain and uncertainty and all these other things that are required to be a pro wrestler. So, many thoughts. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah, it's great that you work with so many people, and Lenny Leonard taught me a lot too, and he gave me like a full page of critique and stuff, and then, but thanks. So yeah, thanks to him. Hopefully he's watching. But going back to what you were saying, it's like it's always good to put your own spin on things, right? You learn from different people, but then at the end of the day, it's it's about your own personality and how you add your little spices to it, so to speak.
Absolutely, and always be open to learning. Every time out is a learning experience. You know what I mean? And there's some places I do commentary where it's over the PA, where the audience can hear it, and in that case, you get an instant reaction of if people, they might start chanting something that was just in commentary, or they react to it in a physical way that you then know, like, oh, okay, they like this, so put 20% more of that in. When you're doing live shows, obviously, on pay-per-view or whatever, you don't have that luxury. You know what I mean?
Yep, for sure. Yeah, doing the PA stuff. Yeah, I've heard people do commentary over like a mic, a live mic and stuff, and everyone can hear it. But yeah, over a PA, that's pretty interesting. Which show was it? Was the one that you did commentary with Foley?
For Mick Foley, it was a show called JCW Presents Legends and Icons, and it's
okay.
famous slash infamous show. It was on pay-per-view, and now it's just on YouTube. But it's the biggest Legends wrestling event ever. You know what I mean? Like, just everyone is on this thing. Like, everyone. From the Rock and Roll Express on down to Ronnie Garvin, the man with the hands of stone, to Bob Backlund, to X-Pac, to, it's like at least 50 legends. It's insane. And me and Mick did the commentary for that. And, Bob Backlund goes off the rails and just goes into the crowd and is just going wild. And just sitting there with Mick and watching that on the monitor and looking at it live in the monitor and then looking at Mick, and just seeing how he played it and everything was very influential for sure. And he's just such a great dude in every way, a great talent, a great person.
Yeah, for sure. Very charitable also. All right, we are live on MKW's Facebook and YouTube with Kevin Gill, the new commentator, the English commentator of MKW Wrestling, and also for Game Changer Wrestling. Send in your questions. I don't know where my PA went. I think he's fell asleep or something. But we have some comments and questions here. Let's take a look. Ray Swish say, what's up?
What's up, Ray Swish?
And then he has a follow-up here. What have Kevin Gill know about MKW now? Had any Chinese wrestlers, I guess, gotten your attention? Not really sure what he's asking there, but
sure. Well, so far I've just been kind of studying the championship picture in my initial view, and I've also been in touch with some of the talent directly, just in terms of getting acquainted with some of the nuances. But I like to experience it live and in the moment. And in an instance like this, where obviously we have the benefit of these shows are recorded in China, I'm able to host and do commentary here in the States. So I kind of want to really dive right into the product and see it through fresh eyes for the first time, right when I'm calling it. You know what I mean? So I can answer that question better after episode 2 or 3, or I can come back with my thoughts on episode 1 and who really stood out. But I'm going to abstain from answering that question at this time.
Oh, good answer. And let's see. Aaron from Facebook. I've been loving Blast Off, but it will be definitely be even more awesome, maybe to understand it better. So looking forward to your first episode, Mr. Gill. It's a comment there from Aaron.
Well, thank you, Aaron, man. Again, honored and humbled, and I hope that everyone is there for me along the way. I'm sure I will have missteps, or everyone's human, so it's going to be a great learning experience. And again, just the idea that I can be a small part in putting a magnifying glass on this, shining a spotlight on this, and showing the world what it's all about. And as we've seen with so many talents that go to Game Changer Wrestling, and then suddenly they're all over TV or etc. or in New Japan, who knows what could lead, what could happen as a result of this content being seen globally. You know what I mean? Not just to the great people of China, but also then in an English language version for the world. You know what I mean? To me, it's like, it's unreal. So I appreciate everyone that supports it, and we're going to need everyone's help to spread the word about it as well.
Yep, awesome. So you're a voice of GCW, Game Changer Wrestling, definitely one of the most exciting and outlandish promotions in in wrestling today. What are some of your favorite matches that you've been able to call at your time in GCW?
Oh man,
does it start with Cluster?
Does it start with what? Oh,
does it start with Cluster and end with Battle Royal?
What is your policy on the word between Cluster and Battle Royal? Do you have a policy on using that word on the air?
I'm not really sure. Maybe just to be safe, we shouldn't say it.
Touche.
Yeah, well, it's going to be on YouTube, right? So, although you already said it earlier.
But that was a soft S.
Soft S.
One match that always comes to mind, and I think part of it is because of, one, it was one of the greatest matches I've ever been a part of. Two, there's some amazing pictures that were taken, and commentary is always set up in different places at different buildings, and where this show was, commentary was out in the crowd, and the match came to the commentary area. So there's some really cool pictures of that. But that match was Schlack versus Abdullah Kobayashi at Shinkiba First Ring in Tokyo, Japan. And that was just, I thought I've seen everything that you could do in terms of crazy people brawling and using weapons and whatever, but that was like something, a battle of the ages. You know what I mean?
Was it a hardcore match or a death match, or?
Well, everything those guys do to me is like hardcore /
It is Schlack though, right? You know?
Yeah. So it was a lot of fighting all over the building, a lot of glass, eating. They were both like biting the light tubes in half and eating them, and just like absolute insanity. But there's so many great moments, because with a company like Game Changer, you have those moments, or David Arquette versus Nick Gage, or any of the other stuff. But then you have emerging guys like Blake Christian, like Alex Zane, or even guys like AJ Gray that do this strong style, but then they see this insane deathmatch stuff going on, and then they suddenly AJ Gray's in the Nick Gage Invitational, or Shane Mercer. You know what I mean? So it's really wild, man. Like every Game Changer show to me is like a game changer. Like I'm never not completely blown away by everything that I've seen. You know what I mean?
Yep, for sure. GCW always full of surprises.
For real, like sometimes surprises you can't see.
Invisible Stan or Man, one of those two.
Both of them.
Both of them.
One is great. One is a damn evil B word.
Yeah, you gotta have special glasses to see them.
And Bryce Remsburg took those to AEW, so I don't know. We'll have to see what's gonna happen.
Hilarious. Okay, so you mentioned you went to Japan last year for GCW. One of our MKW show directors, Ray Yu, we call him Beast Face over here, was doing some backstage work over there for those events, and he mentioned that he really appreciated that you took the time to talk to him, and he did mention MKW to you. So my question is, did you know about MKW before, or was it just at that time?
Like I've heard a buzz, because I've always followed the emerging kind of Chinese wrestling scene, because there was, Shane McMahon several years ago was doing a lot of pay-per-view orientated business, or trying to do a lot of pay-per-view orientated business in China that me and many others thought would lead to some sort of wrestling product emerging there. And then I know a bunch of my friends went to China and wrestled with WWN several years ago, like Brian Idol and Jody Christopherson, and I think Bull James as well, and a whole plethora of other people. But those guys telling me of their experiences was certainly like, man, like they did it, and seeing the pictures of them in their gear and all little school kids running up to them and things like that really kind of kept the seed planted in my mind. So then when I got to meet someone that was involved in the scene, and that's besides being a super helpful person that helped us out tremendously with those Game Changer shows, but then he's there in another country to help us, you know what I mean? And he works for you guys, you know what I mean? Or he works for us too, for Middle Kingdom Wrestling. But you know what I mean? That to me says a lot. Like he's going out of his way to help build a bridge for Game Changer in Japan, and then that leads to me being able to help build a bridge to Middle Kingdom Wrestling to the world. You know what I mean? And that's positive attitude. That's like-minded individuals coming together and being like, yes, this is awesome. Now let's move forward. You know what I mean? So much love to him. You know what I mean? I'm that whole thing still blows my mind. You know what I mean? That story is still somewhat new to me. So much love to him.
Yeah, it does take an army to build something, right? So you always need your soldiers, and you never know where they come from, right?
Amen. And if you see someone out there that's doing good work or is a good person or is contributing, it's great to notice that. It's great to recommend people for things and etc. Because that's the only way things move forward. The only way to keep the absolute bad person or whatever from moving ahead is to at least try to recommend some of the good people out there in wrestling. And there are many, many of them, Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned before when the news was first announced that you were honored to be part of something like this with Middle Kingdom Wrestling. What is it about the Chinese wrestling scene that makes you passionate about the whole thing, about doing this? What do you hope to see the industry in China in the future, or for the future? Sorry.
Sure. Well, I mean, to start, what I see is just unlimited potential. Do you know what I mean? Like I just see a very large population of people that love music and film and other arts. And there's this timeless tradition, this timeless art form of pro wrestling that's magic. You know what I mean? And when that form of magic can get conveyed to a younger audience and then parents and their kids, and then they grow up with it and it passes generations, that's how it grows, And I studied the history of professional wrestling starting in Japan as a comparison, and how it went from there being no professional wrestling to suddenly there's professional wrestling and it's there for decades. And the idea of being able to plant those seeds in China and bring the art form of pro wrestling to the people of China and the world, that literally excites me the most. Very close second is just the talent spotlight. Anytime talent can have a platform to be seen by more than the people that are in the building, more than the people that are in the town or the state or the province or the region, that's when the magic happens, because you never know who's watching. Truly, you never know who's watching. And those assets are then out there. So you want to make your highlight reel. You want to do whatever you want to do. It's all out there. You're now performing for the world. It's not just a regional thing. So that for me is a huge part of it. And where I want to see the industry go in China is I want to see it take root. I want to see it connect with people like it's connected with people in Australia, in Germany, in the UK, in the United States, Canada, all these great countries. I think that I just want to see it grow and flourish and become a staple of entertainment and call it what you will. You know what I mean? Professional wrestling. It's just magic, and bringing magic to a world that is so in need of magic, that is so in need of an escape. And the idea that wrestling is new to them. Imagine just being a blank slate and being like, hey, I heard about this wrestling thing. You know what I mean? That's an incredible, it's a blank canvas. So like, to me, it's like unlimited upside. The sky is the limit with Middle Kingdom Wrestling.
There you go. Blank canvas. You have to paint and do whatever you want, right?
It's wonderful. It's yeah. Like I said, it'll take me a while to get used to this idea because it's still mind blowing to me. And this is the first interview I've done about it. So I do appreciate you giving me this opportunity as well.
I appreciate you for coming here. And so we are live on MKW's Facebook and YouTube. Where can we find you on social media? Time to plug it.
At OG Kevin Gill on Twitter and Instagram. KG Kevin Gill on the Book of Faces, and I'll Twitch is Kevin Gill. Also, I'm going to be launching a bunch of new Twitch content, and I'm going to be bringing back the Kevin Gill Show, maybe under a new name, maybe definitely in a digital format because my shtick was in-person interviews, like the Colt Cabana style, long form, sit down, face-to-face interviews, and current events have taken that from me. And even when I'm there for a show, you know what I mean? It's there's no time for that right now. So I'm going to be stepping more into that streaming world and bringing some more content and interviews and spotlights to the world that way.
Yeah, you got to be 6 feet away for those.
Yeah, 6 feet away, masked, and constant hand sanitizing.
Hand sanitizing.
And if you feel sick, stay home. And if you've been anywhere that you're around a bunch of people, get tested before you start going around mingling with everybody.
Yeah, that's true. And I was talking to somebody that was at the collective, and did you end up getting tested afterwards, or?
Yeah, I did. I did get tested after the collective just as a precaution. And thankfully, it's amazing, because I think overall the amount of wrestlers or anyone that came back after the collective with a positive test was very small. I know two of the reported positives were then false positives because they did another test the following day, which was negative. But you know how it is; those stories never. The story of 50% of the positives were false positives. That doesn't make the same headlines as a super spreader event. Which it was definitely not. But it just goes to show you, though, you're dealing with something that is uncertain. There's no guarantee in life these days. You know what I mean? You can keep your distance. You can wear a mask. You can sanitize your hands. But if you go out to eat, if you go to a bar, if you go to a wrestling show, if you go to the movies, if you get on a plane, if you go on a cruise, if you go to Walmart or anywhere you want to shop, you conceivably are putting yourself in somewhat risk, like something could happen. So it's unfortunate that anyone should get sick from attending any event. You know what I mean? Events are our livelihood, but they're also our passion and what we love to do. They're our escape. But it's like a sad thing, but all we can do is do our best, you know what I mean? And take these calculated risks.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, just be safe out there. And I was asking you a question. I forgot to plug my own social media.
Yeah.
If you like me, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Leung. And I'm also hosting AEW Trivia every Tuesdays after AEW Dark. You can find that on YouTube, part of Pro Wrestling Puzzles. And you just check out my Twitter, and I'll post a link usually. And if you like MKW and you haven't already followed us, oops, that's the wrong one. Where'd it go? This one. This one. Put the wrong banner up. If you like us and if you haven't subscribed and follow us already, make sure you guys do. Facebook and Instagram, MKW China, and YouTube is Middle Kingdom Wrestling. Twitter is MKW Wrestling, and our website is middlekingdomwrestling.com. You'll be seeing Mr. Kevin Gill real soon on our YouTube and our MKW Blast Off every Fridays. And whatever time it is, I can't. It's always a different time, different time zones.
It'll vary by market.
Yeah, I know. Just go on YouTube. Just subscribe and hit the bell, and you'll never miss it. Okay. All right, we are wrapping up here. All right, so the first episode of Kevin Gill Presents MKW Blast Off coming out later this month. We hope to see you. We hope everybody watches. Since all the episodes of Chinese Wrestling Sit Down are translated in Chinese for the social media channels in China, what would you like to say to our Chinese wrestling fans?
To all the great people of China, I invite you to discover a timeless art form, a timeless form of entertainment, a form of entertainment that transcends generations, it transcends national boundaries, and it's the ultimate escape. It's the ultimate performance. It's professional wrestling. It's Middle Kingdom professional wrestling, and it's coming to you. It's coming to the world, and we invite you to be a part of this. You know what I mean? To be another thread in the beautiful tapestry that is the global wrestling scene. You know what I mean? All people united to celebrate the arts.
Awesome. All right, we are wrapping up here. So yeah, thank you very much, Kevin Gill, for being here on Chinese Wrestling Sit Down. Maybe one day, me and you, we'll call an MKW show.
Hell yeah, that would be amazing.
One day,
and
that'll be the dream.
I do really appreciate you inviting me on, and again, your continued support of Middle Kingdom Wrestling and your continued support of the Chinese wrestling scene does not go unnoticed, my friend. You are the man.
Thank you, sir. You're the man. We're like kissing each other almost in a manly way. All right, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for watching us live on MKW Chinese Wrestling Sit Down, and we'll be back in a few weeks. Make sure you guys check out MKW Blast Off every Fridays. Hit the bell for the notification so you know when it comes on, because I don't know, it's different time zones, so I can't remember when it comes on. I think it's 8 China time or something. I apologize for that, but yeah, if you subscribe, then you won't miss it. Kevin Gill gonna be on this month. Stay tuned to our social media, and you'll find out which episode. Thank you, Kevin, once again for being on. See you guys next time.